Right on. We are here at the ASTE Show 2019, right down in what is probably the most hospitable state in the country, man. North Carolina and the Raleigh area is, dude, it's the bomb down here. Everyone just kind of is loving and welcome. And I've had more people try to want to open the door. We need this in life. But we are gathered, man. We've got a group of technicians and shop owners, and I want to do some introductions. Lucas Underwood, LN Performance Repair. Lucas, what part of North Carolina?
We're from Blowing Rock, up in the very top northwestern corner.
All right, so let's get another introduction. We've got Grayle Bartlett. Grayle, man, welcome to our little podcast here at AST.
I appreciate you having me.
Yeah. Where are you from?
Mineola, Kansas.
What's the name of your place?
I run Route 54 Garage. We're just south of Dodge City, about 20 miles.
Yeah, and you just opened up March 2019?
Yep,
okay.
We're fresh. We've been in there for about a little over 6 months now.
Dang, we all remember fresh. In fact, we're still fresh in many ways. There's so much to learn. We're going to move it to my right. We got Mr. Mike Reynolds, Mobile Automotive Service Solutions. How you doing, brother?
Good. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, and you're in the mobile, so you do mobile diagnostics.
Yep, we sublet for body shops and repair shops doing diagnostics, calibrations, all sorts of stuff.
Nice. And to the right of Mike, we got Eric Sprague, man. What's happening?
How's it going, man? Thank you.
Good. And you are, so technician, ASC, give us your, what kind of?
Yeah, ASC certified. Got a handful of Ford certifications still.
Nice.
Kind of a mix.
Right.
I try and stay pretty current with as much training as I can keep up with.
Lucas, you work for Lucas as a team member on Lucas's squad. How is it to work for Lucas? What do you think?
It's really incredible. It's I've been doing this about 22 years. It's a shop culture that I've never experienced before. It's very humbling. It's a very awesome place to work.
Man, when you get, like, if you work on something as a technician, all of us here, you know, we've got our various experiences as a technician. One of the worst things we can have, man, is we make a mistake, we caught it, and we've got some maniac of a service manager that's like threatening us. You get that? You get that, Eric?
Not
I mean,
anymore.
in the past, of course, not with Lucas,
No,
but
in the past,
give me
yeah,
an
of
idea. You working? Let's say you were doing a clutch. Give me an experience of a past that you just worked for some maniac.
I'd say probably the worst was an employer who wanted to use junkyard stuff as much as we could. They decided to put a junkyard ABS module in, and they wanted me to pay for it when it didn't work. They wanted me to pay for the OEM one out of the dealer.
I think that's the worst thing you can do to a technician, man. I mean, I get we all have policies and procedures, Lucas, that say, hey, we got to be responsible and we can't be straight up negligent. But Lucas, that comes in your garage, man. That's not happening that way.
No, definitely not. You know, this is really about serving the technician, and you know, our technicians are our internal customers. So to us, it's very, very important we take care of them, and they're not taking the level of reward that the business owner may take. Right, we have to protect them, and if
we don't protect them enough, I mean, I think a lot of this shortage. I listened to this, and we all know about it. I think we screwed it up ourselves. I mean,
Absolutely.
We didn't pay properly. Come on, and we didn't take care of our people in the back shop.
Exactly right.
Real quick, Mike, you deal with a lot of shops. First off, tell us what kind of mobile testing drivability are you seeing out there? What's hot button right now? Evap faults or?
So I've dove on the Aste calibrations. That's a lot of what we're seeing, which hasn't really hit aftermarket repair yet. We're seeing a little bit of them here and there, but that's mostly focused on the body shops. I think now is the time when the repair shops should be kind of preparing for this stuff because they know it's coming.
You ever deal with a repair shop that you did some work for? They called you, flash program or what have you, and you said, man, I'm not coming back to these people just because of the way they did business?
Yes, I have a small handful of shops that we no longer do business with.
What are the reasons? Give us some reasons.
Well, you know, you have a surprising amount of bounce checks.
Oh, God.
And a lot of, we put a module in, Mike didn't program it right. It's you know, the module didn't fix it. It's Mass's fault now. I run into that a lot, and some of these guys understand. We also get a lot of, you know, reman modules that fail, even new modules that fail. So a lot of it is based
I mean, you're going to make it right, but you're saying there's there's a few knuckleheads that, I mean, other than bouncing checks, yeah, you want to walk away from that, but that's got to be tough because you may have a multitude of problems.
Yeah, and it's up to us to come and solve those problems. But if we're doing a programming service, that's separate from doing a diagnostic service.
Right.
So we run into that very often.
Grayle, you just opened up your garage March of 2019. You're here at ASTE. I got to ask you, like, is this one of the first biggest shows that you've been out to, training expos?
Oh, yeah. This is the only training expo I've been to.
What do you think so far? I mean, what's your take?
It's been life-changing. Absolutely. I mean, the first night here, Lucas offered to pick me up a day early, so we could do the Jasper event, and then
That's
could come
what we
in.
do, man. I love this.
We
take care of each other, man. That's what this business is.
Really, so in my area, there's not a lot of this. There's not a lot of camaraderie, and it's really tough, when you go out there and you open a shop. And I think there's a lot of shop failure in my area too because of that, because there's a lack of communication and camaraderie between these independent shops that he has completely just opened my eyes to. And being here, I have met some of the greatest people, and I have learned.
You get a lot of phone numbers.
Absolutely much.
I think one of the biggest things out here is, no matter what level you're at, I think there's a sense of you mentioned camaraderie, but like I heard you speak about some things opening your garage, and we're like, hey, let's help you out.
Yeah.
I think maybe generations before it was that shop over there is our competition. What's your take, Lucas? Let's start with Lucas. Lucas, I think for many years, as technicians, shop owners, service riders, we're like in this bubble, and it's us against the world when we shouldn't have.
I think at the end of the day, our only competition is ourselves. So I think it's so easy to get caught up in that and caught up in this negative attitude and looking at everybody else. When you get out and begin to help other shops and you help other technicians, you begin to grow. And when you start teaching people, that's when you really begin to learn.
Yeah.
And you're able to see a perspective you weren't able to see before. I'm sure Mike can attest to that. That's something that
because Mike probably sees a lot out there. You see a lot of variety.
Yeah, I kind of laugh, I'm not interested in being a consultant, but I get to walk in and out of all of these shops, and you can easily see what works. The shops that are clean. On that note, the shops that isolate themselves, those are the shops that struggle. If you're working in a shop and you got a buddy in a shop down the road and, hey, let me borrow this tool, send it over on a parts guy comes and picks it up. Those are the guys that work through the problems. They work through it together. And it's always refreshing to see that. And then you walk in the shop where the people don't communicate. They're an isolated shop. They think they have the secret sauce. They're not sharing it with everybody.
Yeah, those days, that's what I think is behind us. Eric, what's some of the challenges you're seeing right now in the service space regarding, let's jump into drivability. Over the past 3 to 5 years as a technician, what are you really going after that's challenging? You're really sort of getting that training for?
I think a lot of the biggest thing that I think is lacking training-wise and just in the industry in general is the thought processes. We get real trapped in chasing symptoms. I've been fortunate that I've been able to, support some other shops and help some other individuals back home before I moved down here, and it was it was a lot of symptom chasing and a lot of stuff like that, but I think that really tends to hold a lot of people back and keep a lot of people from reaching their potential.
So a lot of it, we can have all the technology in the world, but if we don't have the proper sort of flow path, I think we've all been there where we've spent 4 hours and found something that's like, holy cow. Speaking of which, so Mike, what's a bad day like for Mike when you're out there doing mobile?
I had one last week, actually. So you show up, the car's gone. I deal with a lot of body shops. There's a lot of movement. Show up, the car's gone, and they got nothing else for you. I got to leave you a service call bill, and I hate doing it. And then programming failures. We get, a new module or not a new module or a used module, and it fails programming, and it's not my fault, but everybody points fingers at the mask guy.
Yeah.
And then we deal with the diagnostics. Sometimes there almost is no answer. It's incredibly challenging. And of course, I always get the difficult ones. And as I see,
you will. I feel guilty, man. Lucas, you ever feel bad that you have to call them out and you got something that you got?
Oh,
You
yeah,
checked everything.
absolutely. You kind of look at them and say, I'm really sorry about this. Here you go.
But I got a customer in a rental for 2 days now. I need your help.
Absolutely.
But you got to feel, Mike, at the end of the day, I mean, you're going through some hardcore battles that, man, you got to feel good about that.
Oh yeah, I love it. It keeps me moving, keeps my mind moving. I did brake jobs over and over again, make great money, but it's the always changing, always something new, and I love seeing guys get that fire. You start moving, you start doing the diagnostics, and you learn every day.
Grayle, what are you doing at your garage? You just opened up in March of this year. There's probably going to be a lot of folks listening that kind of in your shoes that want to open up a garage. How did you start, and what gave you that? Well, Lucas, what gave him the crazy ball in his mind to open up his own garage? Tell us more about how you got, what pushed you to do that?
I had gotten to kind of a crossroads in my life. I was working for a biodiesel company. It was a great place to work. But I was kind of getting to a point where I wasn't fulfilled myself with what I was doing.
Go more into that. Like, what was bothering you? What was missing?
I think it was just I knew there was more potential out there for me than what I was doing.
So you were kind of flatlining.
Yeah.
Mike mentioned sort of doing the same brakes and undercarriage,
Right.
and you just wanted more.
Right. Yeah. And I had just had a decision to make. Do I want to keep doing what I'm doing now and kind of go through the steps? But there was a huge need in my community for someone to come in and be able to serve them and keep them going on the road and keep them safe. And so I had there was an abandoned Petrofina station there in our town. It's been abandoned for years. And I knew the gentleman who had bought the building, so I just approached him and I was like, "Hey, let's do something."
You had
this.
to make a deal because that's part of the
Yeah,
right. Isn't that the case? Buying equipment, maybe getting a truck. You gotta. I mean, we're good at what we do, but man, we gotta negotiate everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or else we'll pay too much. We don't want to do that. So you did that.
Yeah, and we got it going. We spent about a month. I quit my job. And we spent
How'd that go?
Well,
Because a lot of folks are listening now, and that I want to open my own place, but I've been working with this outfit for so many years. How did you exit? Did you?
There's a right way to do things, and I was just completely honest with the guys that I was working for.
Were they supportive?
Yeah, absolutely. They did try and keep me around, and I gave them that opportunity. I'm open-minded, absolutely.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, there was still that hole that couldn't be filled, and so we just went on with it. And I told them, ultimately, I gave them an extra month before I would actually leave, and I did the best I could to train the guys under me to do what needed to be done to keep them going. Because they had just had a huge structure fire about 6 months prior that we went through. And so they were kind of rebuilding and putting that back together themselves. So it was everyone was kind of scrambling. So I helped them kind of set the people up under me to succeed.
So you left in a good transition.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lucas, I got to bring this up. Lucas, the thing is this. We get a lot of great technicians under our wings. I've had them. They go and open up their garages. He had mentioned that they come back and said, hey, we'll give you, we want to keep you. We'll give you an offer. How do you deal with it? I mean, because we got shop owners listening that have that very same thing.
Right.
How do you manage that?
Well, I think you've got a couple routes you can take. And the first route is if that's genuinely something they want to do. I think as an industry, it's important we take them and lift them up and show them the path to do that. I also think that exit plans for a shop owner, especially some of our older shop owners, need to be thinking about this moving forward, employee ownership of the business. And I had a friend say something a while back, Seth Thorson, LMV Bavarian, said something to an ASOG member a while back, and he said, you should have never been a shop owner. And the member was really offended. He said, what are you talking about? Why would you say that? He said, because you're such an excellent technician. You should have never had the opportunity to be a shop owner. I would much rather have paid you $200,000 a year to be a technician in my shop.
Man, that's a lot of sense there.
And wouldn't it be so much better if we were paying these people fairly? A lot of these technicians should be making as much as the owners are.
Eric, you've been in situations, Eric Sprague with L&N, working on the team there, of course, not under the wing of Lucas, but in the past, you've been in positions where, hey, I don't think I'm getting recognized for my talent. A lot of technicians listening now, they're at that crossroad. They want to ask for a raise or they want to be compensated more. Have you experienced that and how do you handle it?
I have. I think the precedent's got to be set very early on in that relationship with the shop. Interviewing, I think, is where that starts. If you sell yourself short, you're probably not going to have the opportunity to be recognized or in a situation where you can flourish. One thing I've lived by for a very long time, Lucas beats it every day, under promise, over deliver.
Sometimes that's hard, but it's good to have that mantra for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you got to have team effort. Lucas, team is important. We preach it. We talk it. We all like to believe we have some culture. You're out there grinding, Mike. You're centered about how you're rolling every day and you start that new day every day. Before I get to Lucas, how do you as an individual pretty much running on your own, how do you keep your motivation up?
So I'm actually at the burnout point. We just bought a second truck. I'm doing a lot of training, so I'm on the road a lot. I've kind of started this little training company, and it's starting to grow, and I really enjoy it. So it's a challenge. Now I've got so many things.
What is your challenge? Is it finding another good technician, or?
Yes, it's finding a guy and setting it up. This would be my first employee, so it's not just hiring somebody. It's getting everything set up. I'm writing a manual on how to do the processes, what I'm going to get set up. And and then I'm building a second truck, which is a huge to do.
So you got systems, procedures, right? Isn't that the fact, Lucas? In order for us, and this is important, you can't trade hours for dollars without a system.
Absolutely.
And I would say to you, Grayle, coming into this, man, I remember wrenching, phone in the thing, and working on the phone. It's ring. First off, I want to say you got the courage to do it. Period. That takes a lot of courage to do it. Now it's a matter of getting through it.
Yeah.
And I would just tell you, like an event like Aste, you're going to have a network.
Yeah.
And
important.
How do you feel about that? I mean, you came in probably a little, man, what am I going to expect? You've met some people.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I knew first thing when I came into this deal, first of all, I didn't know anything about running a business. And second of all, I needed to figure it out. And so I immediately started reaching out, and that's when I found the shop owners group and kind of started just leeching on to Lucas. And so being here is definitely
nice, very
definitely
good.
Changed everything.
Well, and then, we get to the bar too. There's some festivities of goings-ons. Lucas, when you guys, because you're part of the planning out, what's the challenge of planning one of these things?
Well, look, when you've got Bob and Tricia, there is no challenge,
yeah,
right?
They're executing.
Absolutely. They get it done. And I
mean, you see the Domino's pizza guy? He was running in here.
Right.
He thought he was late. He saw Bob. Bob gave me like, look, hey, you better hurry up. Give me a pizza.
That's it. Well, look, the challenge, in my opinion, is getting young technicians into these events.
Why do you think, why do you think it's a challenge getting people to show up? They getting online what's the story?
Well, because they don't see the value and they've never had the opportunity to see the value.
You think they're in their own way, possibly.
They're absolutely in their own way, but think of it as an industry, right? Remember the classes we used to go to that the park providers would put on, and it was about their product. It was about selling their product.
I never thought of it that way. Maybe some of us have been tainted because, they're just pitching.
But it's never an issue to get them to come back, right?
Absolutely. They'll come back every time.
Every year. One of the things that I love about these events that I don't think anybody talks about is you could sit in 4 classes that you got nothing from, but if it pulls you out of your shop, you've been in a shop, you're sweating, you're working hard. They don't all have the culture like Lucas's shop. You bring them to an event like this, you surround them with people who love to learn, they're passionate about what they do, they want to talk about that Ford Explorer they fixed last weekend. It's refreshing. That's what this is all about.
It's like therapeutic, man. We can all kind of we misdiagnosed something, or the part didn't get installed properly. I think a lot of this is therapeutic, at least for me anyway. It's
absolutely.
And
we
it's
all
shop
make
owners.
Mistakes.
Yeah, we do, and we grow. And I think at the end of the day, it's courage. Before we disconnect, I want to just hit it one by one. Eric, where do you see this industry in 3 years as a technician? What's your biggest moving forward? What are you going to work on?
I'd like to see a lot more solidarity between independents and dealers. A lot more working together. We're going through a really exciting time with a lot of really paradigm shifts in the way these things work. You know, the iron hasn't changed really in 100 years. Now things are going through a complete shift from what they have been. I think being able to work together and move forward and keep up with that without the mentality of, you know, I need to take them out, they need to disappear. But I think, you know, successful, fruitful competition is a lot better than cutthroat competition.
Yeah. Mike Reynolds, what do you see, man? 3 years from now, over the next 3 years, what do we need to do? What's a challenge we need to immediately overcome?
We're already there. I mean, we need training. We need guys that want to be in this industry, and we got to learn. I mean, every day you got to be learning something new. That's our biggest challenge, and I think everybody's already starting to figure that out.
Yeah. Lucas, other than 10 more locations, what do you see yourself 3 years from now?
You know, I think I see our business as a servant leader to our employees. And you know, I really want to see that come forward. I want to see us work more in education, right? I want to see the next generation coming in, and I want to see shop owners working with technicians to create a relationship, right? As opposed to you just work for me and you get paid for X. I want to see us begin to build relationships with technicians that are fruitful for technicians, that reward technicians for their hard work and the dedication.
Yeah.
And I want to make them part of the business. So that's where I'm going.
Yeah, boy, that's a whole nother topic, technician and SA, service advisor relationship, which gives us a reason. We'll be back in 2020. Maybe we'll pick up that conversation. Last but not least, Grayle Bartlett, opening your shop in 2019. Over the next 3 years, you personally, what are you aiming and striving for at this point?
You know, I want to get some of this that we're doing right here, this training and stuff, and I need to bring that back to Kansas. We're struggling greatly there with training. The last training I was at, there was only 3 shops there. I mean, and when you take that away from that area, I mean, everyone is going to struggle, just like you guys were talking about. You know, these shop owners have to get together. We have to have this network event to get here and do this training. And I need to get people in my shop. I need to get young kids in there and get them learning, get them into the trade schools, so they can get a good education and fill that void that we're greatly missing.
Yeah, well said. Good points. We want to see you succeed. I do thank you, gentlemen. Mike Reynolds, Mobile Automotive Surface Solutions. Eric Sprague, the technician of technicians over at L&N Performance. And, of course, Grayle Bartlett out there, Route 54, Mineola, Kansas. And Lucas Underwood, L&N Performance Auto Repair. I appreciate you guys hanging. We'll do this again for sure. I am Frank Lloyds with Wrench Nation, covering the ASTE show. I will tell you, if you're listening to this, get onto the website, asteshow.com, if you're catching this on social media somewhere. And if you missed this show, truly, I mean, there's a ton of expos out there, but Southeast has got it going on, chock full of training, chock full of good people, all kinds of training across the board. So I invite you, again, check out asteshow.com.